Tonight on Gravely Amusing, it's the Friday the 13th special part 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another slightly handsome episode of Gravely Amusing, the only podcast that would walk 500 miles and would walk 500 more, just to be the podcast that walked 500 miles and fell down at your door. Da-da-da-da! Anybody else? No?
Da-da-da-da.
There it is. There it is. I am your out-of-breath host, the one and only man-child of mystery, Bryan Peters. Thank you for listening, everybody. You fans are the best thing that's happened to me since they invented thermoses that had the little snack holder on top so I could sip my Coke and eat pizza rolls, have them right there. It's really genius.
It's for your
Five
soup.
Below with my wifey last night.
Yeah, it's for soup, man.
But-
The thermos keeps it warm.
For soup? But what if I want... Why would I put
That's how they
soup
made it, I
on
guess.
top of a mug with Coke in it?
Oh, you're onto something there now.
If I have pizza rolls, I can eat the pizza roll. Anyway, I'm going to buy one. They just didn't have nice colors. Tonight we have a very scary, very frightening, very special 2-part episode of Gravely Amusing.
Dun, dun,
It is the Friday the 13th special. This is not...
I was gonna say you need some lightning.
This is not only dropping on Friday the 13th, but it is a Friday the 13th in friggin' October. I mean, you couldn't get any luckier. It was the perfect pairing. Had to do it. Speaking of perfect pairings, I had to talk about this franchise with my buddies. So join me tonight are 5 of the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors. First is that's a Men in Black reference. Come on, people. All right. First is my co-host of the upcoming second podcast from me, titled BP and the Finch, a superhero podcast that will talk about Marvel, DC, really anything comic book based.
I want in that.
Maybe Star Wars too. We'll throw anything in there. We'll talk. Okay, you will. But we're going to talk about anything that strikes our fancy, because Gravely Amusing is horror based. So, and I want to talk about more, and Finch wants to talk about more. So, BP and the Finch is happening. Thanks to everybody here. Our first official episode is going to drop on October 20th. God willing, we can get the schedules together, and we're going to talk about Spider-Man villains versus Batman villains.
Heck yeah, buddy.
The Spider-Man game is dropping. Finch came up with this idea. It is a freaking awesome idea. Who has the better villains? No better rogues gallery in DC than Batman. No better rogues gallery in Marvel than Spider-Man. They are my 2 favorite superheroes in the whole universe.
Spider-Man wins.
Maybe.
Tune in and find out.
It's going to be the battle of the old men defending Batman versus the young guns defending Spider-Man. It is something you absolutely cannot miss. BP and the Finch, you can come to us for Marvel and DC, Star Wars stuff, anything pop culture, and we would love to have you. So that is coming very soon. This Finch guy I'm introducing after my commercial break there, I apologize, is my beautiful black companion, my BBC of 20-something years.
No.
The Black Panther, my Iron Man. Mr. Dr. Jeray Finch, how you doing, man?
Not a real doctor, but yeah, hey, happy to be back. Looking forward to breaking down Friday the 13th.
Jeray, drop the verse. No diggity, no doubt.
Shorty, get down.
There it is. Get down, good Lord. Next, we have the love child of Fat Bastard and Felicity Shagwell, the future father of the one who will bring balance to the Force.
Wait
My
a
little
minute,
brother,
what?
Trey Cleveland Brown.
No. I'm honored to have that dad.
What up,
I
Trey?
love him. He's a good guy. I mean, he got me in the Subway diet, so
Next, we have the man who rivals me in horror knowledge and Spider-Man knowledge, one of the best young artists this side of the Mississippi. A man who will take
That's
PTO to
facts.
make sure he plays the new Spider-Man game or Pokemon game. I couldn't be
Hey,
more
don't put
I
on
proud.
hope his
blast,
employer is
man.
not listening to this.
I couldn't be more proud of this guy. No,
It's locked
Oh, there we
in.
go.
that PTO is scheduled. It is not impromptu. It is locked in. What is up, Brandon?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, man. I'm glad you made it.
Absolutely.
And this is our team for the night. So in part one of this Friday the 13th podcast, we're going to discuss the first 6 Friday the 13th films in chronological order. So basically what that means is when we get to the second half, things are kind of a mess. Some things are not even considered canonical. Believe it or not, Jason 10 is not canon. They put it as not official canon. Like I looked up, I talked to the screenwriters and directors, those own the rights. They well, I didn't talk to them personally, but I wish. But they don't put Jason 10 as canon.
Now,
Everything else is canon.
Did you know
not
that
Jason 10,
Jason X,
which is
even though
really
it's not
weird.
canon, has the
Because-
highest kill count throughout the franchise? Okay.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about that because I
Okay.
was surprised about the kill counts in movies. We're definitely talking about that tonight and tomorrow. Yes. Also, in a couple weeks, we are going to do a 45th anniversary special. We're going to do a 45th anniversary special with Halloween, Michael Myers. So we have a lot awesome stuff going on to you. I just the reason I bring that up is because until 2018, Friday the 13th was the highest grossing money making horror franchise, slasher franchise, until 2018 when Halloween came around. So maybe Friday the 13th can be able to come back one day. Who knows? All right, boys. So tonight and tomorrow I want to discuss what we like, what we hate. Tomorrow we're going to discuss the second half of films. Tonight, just the first 6. And I asked these boys to rank all these films and send me individual lists. So no one knows how anyone else ranked them, only me. So in part 2, I'm going to reveal those rankings and give you the gravely amusing official Friday the 13th film ranking. So we got a little mystery going on here. No one knows how anybody ranked anything. But and then we'll also talk about the hope for the Friday the 13th future. So let's get started. And all right, first film, Friday the 13th. Now, I won't go into production stuff here and all the deets of every film, but I'll say that for the future season of the show on slashers, because I will do a whole season on slashers. But I'm going to give a little refresh to the film and the plot before we attack it. So this was the first film. The franchise was created basically as a direct response to the success of Halloween. So Halloween, of course, is basically the blueprint of slasher films. I hope Zack Snyder takes over this franchise. hashtag save the Hollowverse. No, I'm just messing. But we're going to take on Halloween. This is Jason and Mommy Time. So this movie's budget was about $500,000, and it made just over $60 million. The movie was released on May 9th, 1980 by Paramount Pictures. This was a studio that never really wanted a horror franchise, but sure was glad to cash those checks. I mean, can you blame them? All right, so this movie starts out, the whole franchise starts with this scene. It starts with some counselors having sex in 1958 and being murdered at Camp Crystal Lake. Several years later, we meet Anne, who gets picked up and taken to the halfway point on her way to Camp Crystal Lake. She hears from this driver that in 1957, so this is in 1979, so we are like 18 years, if I'm doing the math right. 18?
I believe 18.
Yeah, 18 years. Right? 20? I don't know. I'm not doing math tonight. But a kid named Jason Voorhees drowned in the lake in 1957. He drops her off the halfway point because he's not that nice of a guy as we thought. And she gets picked up by somebody else, and they chase her into the woods and slash her throat. The camp was reopened in 1979 and bought by a Steve Christie. These kids have sex, they die. We don't know who's killing them in this movie until some woman shows up and claims to be a friend of the Christies. But then she reveals that her son, Jason, drowned in the lake, and she blames that on sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So mother knows best, and she attacks this final girl, Alice. Alice whacks her head off. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, boys. Does she whack her head off with a machete, or is it
It
a
is
2x4?
a machete.
Because I sworn it was always a 2x4. It is a machete.
Are you
Okay.
sure?
Well,
I
jumping
also thought
ahead
was a
to
I always thought it
the
was a
next
2x4
film of part
on the
2,
beach.
if you remember correctly, the shrine in Jason's shed specifically has Pamela's head and the same machete laying next to her that decapitated her. So
Mm-hmm. So the machete. Yeah. Oh, that's a better story.
Look at the brain on this guy.
I suck. See, that's a better storyline. That all along it was the machete that whacked his mom's head off. That's good. How did I miss that? Gosh, I suck. What am I doing? But yeah, so she chops Pam's head off with a machete, even though this woman is like 80 pounds soaking wet. Like, I don't know how she had the force to do that, but she did it. She falls asleep on the boat, and somehow Jason comes out of the water, pulls her down, and she wakes up in the hospital, and the cops say, or she says Jason's still out there. So that's the only movie I'm going to really describe in detail because it's where it all starts. So, boys, let's talk kills. Let's talk the reveal of Pamela at the end.
ham.
Let's talk turkey. Let's talk gravy. So,
neither am I.
Man, I'm a big ham guy.
Yep.
I'm not a big turkey guy. If you give me some ham, that Iowa ham, a little bit of maple glaze on that, boy.
Some cherries.
Oh boy, yeah, and a little bit of that pineapple. My God, what the hell are we doing? Let's get some ham. So,
hey, we got a month to go.
Can't wait. Lately, these past few years, my wife's growing up. I never eat cranberry sauce, and I never freaking ate turkey. Like I never was all about it. But my wife's been putting like cranberry sauce with this orange zest, and
boy, oh boy,
boy. I'm gonna get some freaking ham. All right. So, how many kills do you boy? We'll start here. How many kills do you think Pamela
I
had in this movie?
have 10.
Finch, what do you think?
I was gonna say like 8. I don't remember it. I know I watched it, but I just don't remember how many number of kills.
Brandon.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how many she had.
She had 10. 10 kills. So this movie starts off with 10 kills right off the bat.
Good old Trey did his studying. Good job, buddy.
This boy, this man after my own heart, man of research. little clickety clock. I apologize. Okay, so well, I just want to see what you guys think of these movies here. So let's start with Brandon. Like Brandon, my man, what do you think are the good things of this movie? What do you think are the bad things of this movie?
Well, this movie was okay. I did rank it pretty low on my list.
Hey, hey,
I
hey, hey, hey! Don't reveal the numbers.
Okay, so we're not doing numbers yet. Okay. Um it was okay. I mean, it was a fun movie. I mean, they went out of their way with the gore,
Yeah.
and that's what made this whole franchise stand out. I mean, it started with the gore. They took the gore to the max in the forthcoming movies.
So you say like for this to start out like as the de facto opening movie for Friday the 13th, like this was a good start. Do you think that was a good start?
I mean, yeah, that they started the story with Jason, and I mean, that's the whole reason we love these movies is because of Jason. But yeah, I mean, it was a good starting point.
Okay. What did you hate about this movie?
So one of the reasons, like I said, I did put it on low on my ranking. I'm not going to tell you the exact number, but one of the big reasons I did rank it low is because, like I said, the reason we love the Friday the 13th movies is because of Jason. So I ranked this one pretty low because obviously Jason's not in it, and they don't
But he is
seem,
in it. He is.
yeah, but not the Jason we know and love. The reason we watch Jason movies, I I wasn't a fan of this one. Like, this one was not my favorite.
Okay. All right. Um, that's fair. That's fair. Trey,
So, in
highs and
today's
lows of this movie.
standards, it doesn't seem to hold up well. But
Thank you.
we have to look at it this way. I mean, the film was made in 1980.
Okay.
In the 1980s, yes, it drew inspiration from a classic horror
Yep.
film slash slasher film, Halloween. That film alone, I mean, scared people.
Yeah.
It scared babysitters all over the world. But then I think back in that time, absolutely,
Did it though?
absolutely, yeah.
Oh, oh yeah, sure
We-
did.
We've
Oh
seen
yeah.
some other
This is
horror movies
true.
come out from
But
around that time that
again,
hold out a lot better.
yep. Um,
Save that for Halloween. Save that for
but I
Halloween.
think with the
My
first
list.
film,
I want to hear what you
it
have
being
to
in the 1980s, drawing inspiration from Halloween, obviously they had to go a different direction. Oh yeah, we can't do babysitters, so let's do camp counselors. Let's go put it at a summer camp. That's a great idea. Let's do that. We don't want to be a direct copy of Halloween. How can we be different? How can we be unique? Um, so then
Exactly.
probably didn't spark as much fear as the Halloween film did, but I guarantee you there were people going to summer camps in the 80s like, I don't want this to be like Friday the 13th, man. I don't want this happening.
I mean,
Mhm.
its biggest selling point was the gore factor. I mean,
And another thing.
look at
Another
Halloween.
thing.
You've seen there wasn't a lot of blood. You barely seen Michael Myers on screen,
See,
and that's what the directors they wanted to
mhm.
change. They wanted it to be gory. They wanted to
See,
make sure you knew
the
who the serial
thing
killer was.
that disappoints me though for this film, and again, it goes back a little bit to Halloween. Those films, the reason Halloween wasn't so gory was because the funds they had. Same thing with Friday the 13th. It didn't have much funding. Horror was not that big of a thing at this time frame. It's like, it's new. We got to see what we can get out of it. So obviously, Paramount's not going to put all their money into a genre that's not well, established or well put out there and stuff like that. So, yep.
It was like a testing ground. Like
Yeah,
like this was
Yep.
still
It's
in the
let's
test.
get our
Like
feet
is
wet.
slashers gonna make us money? Because Paramount exactly because Paramount was
Mhm.
like, we don't want to be a horror studio. We don't want to do it. And like and the time slashers began, horror,
Yeah.
like about every 10 years, horror changes. 10 to 20 years, the genre changes. Like in the 30s and 40s, you had that black and white, like
Mhm.
in the 1900s and the 20s, all horror movies were silent. So when the 30s came
Yep.
around and sound was added, people didn't know how to react. People didn't know what to do. So when you're watching a
Mhm.
lot of Universal horror movies, there's not a lot of speech at times because they didn't know how to react to the sound. And then, it was all about like taking things from literary ways. And then when you get in the 50s, people are like,
Yep.
robots, bug-eyed monsters,
Mhm.
kaijus. They're getting more creative with stuff. But then, like in the 70s, near the end of that 70s, man, then they're like, okay, horror's changing. People aren't liking these bug-eyed monsters. What can we do? And the Vietnam was happening. Like
Mhm.
women were having a bit more independence and stuff. So when you did babysitters,
Yep.
like there was a baby boom, like that scared people. And camps were opening, like summer camps, boom, counselors dying, scared people. Like it's just horror evolves. And that's what this whole podcast is about, showing that evolution. Um
No,
did
no,
you,
you're
did,
fine.
yeah,
Basically,
I think I went on a
I was just
rant. I
talking about
forgot
how it
what,
was,
what the heck we were
I
discussing.
believe like they were dabbling it and stuff like that, trying to get it established. Now, now, is it okay for me to speak on some scenes of this
Yeah, right,
film or
right,
some
right.
characters, some theories? Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But wait, so to
Okay.
talk, I want to see what Dre
I got you. Go for it.
has to say before we start elaborating a bit. Finch, go ahead, man. Yeah,
Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. Well, I think it was a good starting point. I will say it doesn't hold up as well as some of the other ones. Um, but you get obviously she's angry because of they allowed her son to die, and then the franchise continues to exist because she dies at the end. You know what I mean? And now her son gets revenge, or is out for revenge and all that. So I mean, it is a good starting point. Um, for the time, some of the kills were pretty good. It's just it's not my favorite of the franchise.
that's
So
fair. Yeah. So just give my thoughts before we go into to more detail here, and then we move on to part two. Um, I mean, you guys know, I'm a writer. I'm a story guy. I think from a story
hmm
standpoint, like the first four movies were supposed to be it. Well, the first movie was supposed to be it, really, and then as it continued, these first four movies were a whole story. So looking at the first four movies, it's a pretty tight story. Like, we get this woman that worked at a camp. Her son had disabilities. He had a little bit of deformity. Everybody can relate to be bullied. Um, kids can relate to being bullied, being different, being called different names. So, and when we talk about what we want for the future, someone please remind me that I'm saying this. But I think that Friday the 13th, focusing on bullying and a mother's love, that is a scary thing. What is a mother willing to do
hmm
to get back at losing a child? And story wise, I mean, for 1980, the way they did it was pretty good. Does it hold up in 2023? I don't think this movie, for me, I don't watch it repeatedly a lot, but I watch it repeatedly more than I watch some other ones later. But story wise, it's a good origin for Jason. I'm not so mad that Jason's not not. I'm not so mad that
hmm
Jason is not in it so much because it's an origin story. of why what motivates Jason. You killed my mom, and I'm coming for you. So story wise, I'm cool with that. So any last thoughts on part one?
Did they ever actually, like, it's titled Friday the 13th? Did they ever
So
say
it's
that it was
marked on
Friday
the
the 13th
calendar, I
in the movie?
believe. I believe there are references to calendars.
Okay.
I think the opening scene they kind of talk about it. I could be wrong. I think it was like 2 weeks ago I seen it. So okay, so
I think they do talk about it in the
but
opening
They
scene.
talk about
but originally this
Sorry,
whole
I'm just curious.
franchise it wasn't even supposed to be called Friday the 13th. It was supposed to be
totally
called
right. What was it
let me
supposed to be
see
called,
here.
Trey, Mr.
Long
Research?
Night at Camp Blood. So yeah, well, so they were on the fence about it back and
Awesome
forth, and
title.
then eventually they were just like, you know what, let's just stick with, Friday the 13th. It just and I think the reason they stuck with that title was because, even before the film, it's funny because I was talking about doing this podcast tonight with a customer at work, and they're like, oh, so was Friday the 13th, was it spooky before the movies and stuff like that? And I was like, oh, absolutely. There was all these stories, these legends around the number 13 and then the Friday the 13th. So, oh, absolutely. So I think that's why they stuck with that title.
Selling our
So,
podcast at work, my man.
but quick question.
Selling my
There
man.
is, I do have a theory on this.
Thank
So is it okay if we dive into this part a little bit?
Yep.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I'm not
now
going to beat you up. I'm
one of the
fat.
characters, I forget his name all of a sudden, Crazy Ralph. So I finally
Oh,
I
man.
I finally did a little bit
I
of
know where you're
research
going
on
at
it,
we
this.
but I
talked
found
about
out why he was
My bad.
added.
Going at this one.
But that's something else entirely. But one of the scenes, the reason I think Crazy Ralph was affiliated with Pamela was because in one of the scenes you will notice that the killer of Annie, the cook who hitches a ride to the camp, when she is killed, the killer doesn't have a ring on his finger, on his left hand or his right hand. The next scene, when the killer's POV is looking at the counselors swimming in the lake, there's a ring that you can later identify as Pamela's ring at the end of the film. So it's like, is there a mysterious killer at work? So
Hmm. So do you? Okay. So you said to me a few weeks ago. You said that Jason was driving the car. That Jason picked her up
I
because
initially thought
you didn't see
that
a ring on the finger.
well, because you got to realize Jason at this point isn't a boy
And I was like,
anymore.
come on,
I mean,
man.
he's probably a teenager, but
He
so at this
absolutely
point
isn't.
though,
I'm
when I
going to
did
go
tell you
into
that,
that
I
too.
looked back and I was like, yeah, that's crazy. He's deformed. He's ugly. No one wants to look at that. It's whatever. Um,
Well, actually,
what's that?
in the
He
original,
doesn't
he
have
wasn't supposed
Aquaman.
to be
Car
deformed.
with him.
Yep.
He doesn't have Aquaman teaching him how to drive.
Yep. Exactly. But
So
I
nobody's
mean,
jumping in the car with that guy.
here's
Yeah, right.
that's right. That's right.
He originally wasn't
But
supposed to be deformed, though.
here's the far stretch of my theory.
Mm-hmm.
I could be butchering his name wrong. What's his dad's name? Elias. Apparently Jason, the story is that Jason was born out of
Elias.
wedlock. So is Elias still around or? Yep.
That's how they get you.
It's like that old woman in Liar Liar. Women shaking their tails. The woman folk
Sticking that tail.
$10 for something rather spend it on the hooker, whatever.
That's a good theory, though. Like, I mean, because honestly, in that movie, a lot of those kills, you think about when it's revealed that it's an old lady. I mean, she's not that old, but it's revealed that it's an older lady, and you're like, how the hell she kill that one guy and then that other guy? You know what I mean? Like, how'd she kill
Exactly.
Kevin Bacon, bro? Come on, like, you know what I mean?
Hollow, man.
Right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, she definitely had to have help. That's it.
See, I'm glad we're bringing this up because watching those movies, like I always wondered if Crazy Ralph was Jason's father. Like, and when we get into part two, we see Crazy Ralph again. But I always wondered, like, is he Jason's dad? But like, as he's going around, people aren't saying like that's Jason's dad. So if if Jason's born out of wedlock and Ralph's the dad, whatever. But I mean, we know he's really probably not. But I like the theory of a multiple killers in the first one.
Do you think he was crazy before or after Pamela?
I don't know. I mean, Pamela wasn't
On the right
really.
rails?
How do you say halala?
Are you talking about a looks? I thought you were talking about her sanity.
Fox.
Wasn't hot.
She
wasn't good at that.
Well, I mean, I assume I would feel that Pamela was probably a little passive aggressive.
Hey, some guys like that though.
Yeah, some guys they're insane.
Not all,
but so the first movie, a good start. So second movie, let's move on here. Second movie came out a year later on May 1st, 1981. So they're banging these out, boom, 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 because it's making money. The budget was 1.25 mil.
Nice.
And the movie made 21.7 million. It is the first movie where Jason is the star. It's the first film where Jason is the killer. He wears a bag over his head in this movie. He dresses like a hillbilly. He probably is paying his bill at Spectrum.
Could they get Spectrum out at Camp Crystal Lake? I'm not sure.
Well, in some parts of the country.
I'll run the address and let you know.
It's in Jersey, so it might be Comcast area because Comcast is out of Philly.
I do believe this.
Brandon, find out. We need to know. We all used to work from everybody, so except Finch, we all worked at Spectrum. So anyway, this is timeline. This is 5 years after Pamela got her head whacked off. So the first movie happened in 1979. This movie is happening in 1984. Jason is 38 years old at this time. So if Jason was born on June 13th, 1946. So in the first movie, that's how they mentioned Friday the 13th, is when Pamela is revealing the story, she says it was his birthday. Like Friday the 13th was his birthday. And when they're at the campfire, the Christie guy is going through and tells the date it happened. So that's where we get Friday the 13th. But this was originally meant to be an anthology, just like Halloween was. It was supposed to be made, talk about superstition, but they had to go with what worked, and what worked was this story of this kid. And when Jason pulled her down at the end, people were like, "Whoa, what happened to Jason?" So that's how we got the sequel, and that's how Jason really became something. So this movie, Jason's 38 years old. This cements Jason as a serial killer, as a slasher. This is the movie that does it. So, yeah, Jason was born June 13th, 1946 on a Friday. So any listeners that are pushing 40 years old, I am, Finch is, just get a motorcycle, okay? Don't go on a killing spree for your midlife crisis. Just get a motorcycle.
See the country.
It's understandable though, man. The way things are happening.
Jason 2.0?
I feel
Jason 2.0 has entered the chat.
Keep Vince away from kids.
I, Brian Peters, disavow any knowledge of anything of what Dre Finch.
I'm joking.
Before Dre turned 40, he was a nice guy. Any action beyond that, I don't know that man. Dated 9/30,
It's timestamped.
2023, 10:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There you go.
Yeah,
Boom. I'm clear. So this franchise absolutely loves to mess with the timeline. I don't think they really pay attention to anything going on except these four movies. But this movie starts off with Jason hunting down Alice, the girl that killed his mom, and he stabs her in the head. Well, he puts the mom's head in the fridge, and then she opens the fridge. I thought the opening is pretty cool, like one of the best parts of the movie, especially because what's that?
I thought so too.
Yeah, it's one of the best parts of the movie. And then after he kills her, he takes the tea kettle and takes it off the burner. I mean, what a gentleman! I mean, come on. But this movie
can't have a forest fire. Come on now.
Oh, absolutely not. This movie
I'd be very upset with him.
This movie is a little weird. It's not one of the strongest ones. A lot of people say. I mean, your final girl is a dog named Muffin. Jason is defeated at the end of this movie. So we find out that Jason had a shrine for his mom, and the machete that killed his mom is on the front. See, I remember that. Yeah. But he has his mom's head there. He has his mom's sweater she was wearing in this shrine in the woods. And Jason chases the final people to the shrine. The girl puts on this dirty, blood-stained, bacteria-filled, pre-COVID, nasty-ass sweater. I wouldn't even put it
That
on
was
to
in
save
style,
my
dude.
life.
She wanted to go out in style.
Like, and she doesn't even take it off after they like she just like oh my gosh, like I'm OCD. I freaking hate germs and nasty shit. I can't do it. But Jason's defeated with a machete to like the jugular. It's like right in the shoulder blade. They defeat him and he falls out.
Yeah.
It's to the jugular, whatever. And he falls over, and yeah. So that's part 2. How many kills do you think Jason had in this movie?
I'm gonna say 10.
12.
7.
Because you did
12.
12, 10. The answer is 10. So let's talk about this movie, Brandon. What's that?
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Exactly, but the pattern is going to change soon. Brandon, what's good about this movie? What sucks? Lay it on me, bro.
I actually like this one. This was a good sequel. I like how it opens with the campfire. They're telling the story of Jason. It sets the mood for the movie, and I really like that. This is also the first movie that introduces the smart final girl.
Thank you.
She played it cool, man. She earned the right to survive. She
put on this nasty ass sweater.
Yes, she put on the nasty cardigan. She looked cozy.
It did fit her pretty good.
Yeah, she convinced Jason that she was his mom, and it was working for her. I actually like this one.
Nice. What did you hate?
What did I hate? Not much, honestly. I do feel like this was a really strong sequel.
It was a good introduction. It was good, like, first outing for Jason.
Exactly. I thought this movie did really well.
This film to me is the human form of Jason at his best. Well, let me rephrase that. At the beginning of his best, he's starting to get a taste for it. He's starting to get a feel for it, and we're starting to see that he's not just some dumb deranged serial killer. I mean, it's there. This is a little bit arguable, but if you think about it, in part 2, there's a scene where it can be considered to be one of Jason's most iconic kills, but not because of how gruesome it is, but because it shows that it gives us the proof that he's not just some off the wall, is not thinking how to take these counselors out one by one. One of the scenes, it shows one of the counselors, Scott, has been snared dangling from a tree. So we know that Jason is pretty fluent out in the wild of creating traps, of being efficient, surviving on his own. He builds a snare to trap a human being.
Had to survive.
And then again, not your most gruesome, but just the traditional come behind him, slit his throat. That is it.
And it's interesting that in the same movie where we're seeing Jason with a little bit of intelligence in his killing,
Yes.
that we also see what can manipulate him. And
Yes.
like seeing like images of his mom, like they're implanting this as it was, and they really get into it in the fourth movie, but they're implanting that what the weakness of Jason is. Like, I think it's very important that
Yes.
that there is somewhat of a weakness in these killers. There has to be something.
He's not just 100%.
that we can take
There's no way to
that-
stop
that,
him.
you know, people
He's
can
a
take
human
advantage.
being. He can be stopped. There's got to be a way, and they show that. And I completely forgot about this. I'm ashamed that I forgot about this. But one of the most iconic kills that outranks the snare trap is going to be I cannot remember his name. I believe it was Mark, but the counselor in the wheelchair, the infamous machete. No, that was 2. Was it 2?
That was a good one.
No, I'm wrong. I'm jumping ahead. Am I? I'm pretty sure 2 has.
No, you're right.
I'm.
I think 2 does.
Yes,
have
it was.
No, two.
He
two,
was.
Was
okay.
he wearing
Okay.
a red jersey?
Okay.
Like a.
Yep.
Was it like a
Yes.
fourth-
Played the
yeah,
games. Yep.
That's 2. That's 2.
I mean, he
He was like playing.
That one was
machete
wild,
across
man.
the head.
Like they
That's one
took
of my
it to
favorite
another
kills.
level. They're
Yep.
like, look,
Yep.
everyone dies in this movie,
machete-
even the paraplegic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, equal opportunity murder.
Equal fights, equal rights.
But I mean, a machete to the face, down a flight of stairs, just out in the woods. I mean, that shows you his true strength. I mean, it wasn't just like, slash to the head and he's sitting there. He hits him so hard he's going down a flight of stairs. I mean, that's crazy. Yes.
The poor guy is bouncing around on it's rough. It's rough. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the other things that I like
Because
about
it's
this
over the top.
is we get to see the face of him, because in the first film you see him as a child, and it's disturbing to see a child that way, with fish,
Yeah.
like decaying flesh, moss and all that stuff, and algae growing over you. But then to see him the way he is at the end of the film, it's pretty scary looking dude. But yeah, I mean, this film, I think this is pretty much we're seeing him on the path of becoming one of the most destructive serial killers we see in all of the slasher genres. Yes.
He's going down the right path. Finch.
Equal rights movement.
What are you thinking, Finch?
Well, you guys have kind of
I like to hear that.
changed my mind a little bit, because the only notes I have for this one is boring. So, I mean, just he doesn't have the mask.
Ranking now. Good.
Well, he doesn't have the mask, so it's like that's not Jason to me. But obviously, you're talking about his intricate kills and his intelligence, and then I mean, honestly, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I watched all of these within like a span of days, so a lot of them do run together. So like that's why when you're like, oh wait, am I moving ahead? Because I'm trying to think, like when Brian's talking about the beginning. This is the one where it's like the dude that has like the convenience store.
That one's
and
3.
The clotheslines,
That one's
and then
3.
his wife is like yelling at him.
Nope, that's
That was
the
in
The first
Okay, so
3D film for them.
So
the first 3 kind of like run together.
Yep.
Yeah, they just kind of blend.
No, there's a reason for that though. There's a reason for that. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's Yeah, I mean, I do always like the ending of part 2 where she does put on the sweater, because then that kind of comes back again in I think part 4 with Tommy. Well, kind of, and it like you said, it starts to develop that pattern
Yep.
of like his weakness is his mom, but his strength is his mom too, kind of. You know what I mean? Like that's what's fueling him to keep going forward. So I don't know.
2 is the one. Is 2
No.
the one that had the biker
That is
gang
3.
in it? Or was
That is 3.
I think that's 3.
Brian, I got a quick question for you though.
Yeah.
What happens? I can't remember his name, but what happens to our main man with Jenny at the end of the film? Before she is grabbed out of the window by Jason, he's in the cabin with her. But then fast forward that, there's that quick bright flash. He's gone. Where is he?
He disappears. We don't know where it goes, but he shows up in the
No.
I'm
saying after
does
that
the
though,
machete in the
because
shovel.
if you're we don't know.
No, wait,
He gets
stabbed,
wounded,
doesn't he?
but at the end, before they are in the cabin, and then there's that final knock at the door, and then they're both like, "Oh no, it's him at the door. It's the dog. It's Muffin. Muffin survived." So he's with her, but then Jason comes through the window and grabs her. At the end, it flashes white. She's being carted off on a stretcher. Where's our main man? Where's our knight in shining armor? He's MIA.
There are several characters that survive these movies, and we don't know where they go. Like it, and Trey and I were talking the other day, and we were like trying to keep these notes of who survives and stuff. Because I mean, we'll talk about him a bit, but I always remembered as a kid that Tommy Jarvis died.
Yeah.
At the end of 6, but he does not. But we'll get to Jarvis in a bit.
Did you give us? I don't think we've heard
any
your
last thoughts
behind
on
it.
part 2. Oh, I'm sorry. I am important. Thanks, guys. So in 2, like I'm kind of hung up because Jason gets really iconic when he gets the hockey mask. But I think I do feel that there's a bit of intelligence to Jason in this, and I like seeing him set traps. He kills Ralph in this movie, chokes him with barbed wire. We see more gruesomeness to it. We see that Jason is a different killer than Pamela.
Pamela could be in the open about it, whereas Jason,
Pamela
with the way he looked, he had to be in the shadows and discreet.
Yeah, Jason has to be in the shadows because he's not a good looking mofo.
This is true.
Yeah, can't all look as great as Bryan Peters.
So speaking about that, so my wife hasn't made any comments about this.
Looks good on you, man.
Nothing at all. But
yes, sir.
But some
the beard does wonders.
Like, you look good with the beard. And because I barely have any testosterone, I'll keep this beard as much as I can.
Hey, welcome to the club, bro.
But that's none of my business. All right. So Finch is eating some pizza right now.
Did you guys know?
Yeah, I caught you.
Did you?
A little pizza and beer, my man.
Let's go some Zod, bro.
So in this movie, I don't like how there's it's okay to have this ending where Jason pops out at the end, but you can't do it every movie, and they don't as we get into the third one. But it worries me because this movie 5 years before Jason pops out of the water, and he looks to be a bit like a teenager. And as he's popping out of the water at the end of that, so it makes you wonder: was that
they keep that bit for a while too, where he pops out of somewhere?
What's that?
They keep that bit for a while too.
Yeah, they keep it in the first 3 movies. Yeah.
Nah, they even do it in the later.
I'm trying to remember 4. I'm trying to remember. Yeah,
I'll have to.
I'm trying to remember
I'll
all
think of my
ahead.
notes. It definitely doesn't happen in 4.
7, they do it for a fact. They do it multiple times in 7. It's aggravating.
Possibly, but I think this is a good introduction to Jason. It's good setting the tone, and also, Jason is still immortal here, kinda.
Is he
So
the
like getting a knife in the shoulder, you probably could make it up for that if you're a big, bulk guy, beastly guy, So there's still somewhat of a believability.
real question is though? Can you take a knife to the shoulder?
I think Bryan could take a knife to the
Like, you can
shoulder.
freaking
Now, a
try.
machete, different story.
Let's ask the real questions, Bryan. Can you take a knife to the shoulder?
I'm on my way.
Come at me, bro. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're probably getting, machete in my shoulder and freaking Jello will pop out. Who knows?
Real,
But moving on
real
here.
quick. I'm sorry.
So
I know.
part 3.
Did you know that this one, part 2, there were at least 4 different actors to play Jason? There were 4 actors, at least 4,
I did not
that have played
Really?
Jason in part 2. And then actually there's one of them that is credited as the Prowler instead of Jason. So kind of like the shape from Halloween. Yeah, kind of like the shape from Halloween before his Michael Myers.
Oh,
They kind of credited him as the Prowler before they credited him as Jason Voorhees. But yeah, anyways, I'm sorry, but I'll leave it at that.
I did not know that. I have to.
I'm excited,
I'm
man.
grinning because he knows all this little knowledge.
Fine.
Cute.
See, I love research.
It's exciting.
So when someone else does research, like
He likes it a lot.
so I like it a lot.
BP in the Finch.
Save that for the after show.
Whoa. Hey, I'm not in that one.
Finch and I have been friends a long time, but I don't love him long time, if you get me. All right. All right. Part 3 takes place right after part 2. Right after. Jason is okay after the machete to the shoulder because he is an ancestor of me. And he goes and gets some new clothes, and he kills somebody in a convenience store, a dude that like loves animals. This first movie this is the first movie that was actually released on Friday the 13th in 1982. I guess I missed the actual date it was released, but it was on a Friday the 13th. They are banging out these sequels like crazy. This is the first Friday the 13th that was released in 3D and is the first movie where Jason gets his iconic hockey mask. This is where Jason really comes into his own. This is also, without a doubt, the most controversial film because there is a kill that Jason does that is pretty gosh darn controversial.
I'm trying to think. It's not
Can
with the
anybody think
biker
of
gang,
it?
is it?
Most people totally forget about this kill. Most people totally forget about this kill, but it is extremely controversial.
When does it happen? Is it
and
early in the movie?
nobody
Late?
talks
Mid?
about it. Fairly,
It's not.
fairly early, I would say.
Is it the dude with
So in the beginning of this
No,
movie,
is it the
dude with
hitchhiker? The banana chick?
The curly hair?
No, man, I don't know.
I do like the banana chick.
early in the movie, it is revealed that one of the chicks is pregnant.
Who was it?
Jason kills a pregnant woman in this movie.
Oh, the one with the yellow shirt in the van, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the hammock, right?
Yeah, she totally has sex in this movie, like being out, early in the pregnancy. but whatever. But yeah, Jason kills her, and she says she's pregnant. So
Wow, I must
I
have
don't know how
overlooked that
long
one.
she was, but yeah, Jason kills a pregnant chick.
She announces it in the van when
In the
they're
van.
driving to the lake or whatever.
Yes,
And
sir.
she's like, "That's what happens when you're pregnant."
Yep. So
That was cute. The whole neck roll.
so he kills people with disabilities. He kills people with mental disabilities. He does not. He does not care.
Savage mode.
Savage. They definitely couldn't do that today. Anyway, in this movie, Jason killed a pregnant woman fictionally, and let's move on. All right. So, what is the
12.
kill count in this movie? Anybody have a
9.
guess?
10.
Brandon?
I said 9.
Oh, I didn't hear that. So, the answer is 12, but
I got
could
you.
be 13 if they count that child. Okay. What do you guys think about this movie?
Hated it.
Brandon, go ahead.
Hated it.
Oh,
You hate this movie.
Hated it. Hated it.
Oh.
Love the iconic mask. Hated it. It's so boring to me. I hate it. I hate the whole 3D thing. I don't understand why they decided out of all of them that this one had to be in 3D. I hated it.
Is there anything you like besides the hockey mask?
Not really. I mean, I thought the one kill with the banana was funny, but yeah, I just wasn't a fan of this one.
This film,
That's fair.
for me,
Trey.
it's up there for me, in my opinion. Not only because I think it was just because the hockey mask finally comes into play, but, we start to see a more dominant, stronger, just always on the prowl. But and not even to the film, not like, no credit. I mean, yeah, credit to the film, but the big thing where I think this film stands out the most is where this movie, when it was being worked and titled, this movie. So, okay, so the rating companies, of how they rate, give the films their ratings and stuff like that. Originally, this film would have been an NC-17 rating because of how gory this film could have been. The original kill with, I can't remember his name, but he does the handstand. The original film, the original screen for that, the screening of it was that you see Jason gut him from head to toe, and it's on screen. It doesn't stop. There was decapitation. They don't hide anything. But when labor unions finally got it and stuff like that, and the ratings companies got it, they said, "Listen, this is NC-17. This film had to be reshot so many times because of how gory it was." To even get it out, to put in theaters, because I could be wrong, but I don't think NC.
So they shot it several
Yes,
times.
well, even with
and every time
because
they chose to make it
no,
3D.
listen. That's what would have. That's what would have. No. Listen.
Ducks.
Well,
That
if
was
you
the
think
one thing
about
that
it, if you
Good
think about
Page
it, if
had-
this would have stayed, if those shots would have stayed, that would have been gruesome to see in 3D. Guts falling in your face, coming out of the screen, stuff like that. That would have been it. It would have been crazy.
Yeah, I saw it in Saw.
Too soon. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that
But-
killer mop scene just covering your face.
But when this film was being made
That
too,
was so
did you guys
scary.
know that when it was being produced, the original title for it was called Crystal Japan to evade the attention of various film industry labor unions? Yeah, it was, and what was it? It was derived from a David Bowie song. Like that's how
Japan.
That's how good this film could have been.
Yeah.
If they would have kept the shots. So it is a great film. It is a great film. I mean, you get iconic hockey mask. You get some great kills. Story is pretty good, but I think it's a pretty good film. The one nitpick I do have though is, I cannot remember her name. The main protagonist. I'm bad with character names. I'll just admit it right now. But the main protagonist of this film, she has a flashback of meeting Jason before. And in this flashback, you see him in the clothes he's wearing now. So when did this happen? Was this years before the second film, or because 2 and 3 are days apart, right, Bryan? Or like continuous the next day. Yeah. So it's like, when did you see him? That's the only nitpick I have.
2, 3, and 4 are the same weekend.
Yeah, and then
He only owns 2
and then-
shirts, man.
Hey,
he's not
Bryan's
a
a
zombie
zombie.
yet.
We're
Not a
gonna
zombie.
go buy-
And plus, we see him pick out his clothes. We see him pick out his clothes at the beginning of the film.
I apologize.
He takes them from the
Pre-zombie.
store, their laundry. But yeah. But another thing I liked about
From
this
Royal
is
King,
the
it was a
homage
Royal
they
King.
paid to Tom Savini. Debbie, the chick who was with Andy in the hammock, she reaches over for a magazine, and if you pause it just in time, there's a brief article of Tom Savini as he was the makeup and special effects. I believe he was just makeup, but there's a little brief article on him, and they're kind of like applauding him of his work. So, but I thought it was a good film. Yeah.
Savini's from Pittsburgh. I mean, that's all you need.
Yeah, boy.
Finch, what you got?
All right, so I got part 3.
Yeah.
The intro.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yep.
That like funky funk music. That was
good. I just like the funky music.
Yeah, that just like, because I remember watching this and I was just like, oh, that goes like, okay. So the music, and then obviously he gets the mask, which is great. Some of the those are the things I liked about it, and some of the kills are cool. The things I didn't like was, obviously, I think I mentioned it in the chat when I was watching it, like, why are these shots so weird? And that's obviously because it was supposed to be 3D. But like watching it not in 3D, you're like, why did they linger on that? Or like, why is that, like, that is just a weird looking shot. So there's that, and then this is me. I feel like it didn't have enough adult activities going on. There was like one or two, but
well, wait till 5 comes around.
Yeah,
that one was practically a porn.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm cool with that, but this one lacked it. So
I wish James could have joined us tonight. He would have been like, hell yeah.
So those are my thoughts on part 3, but it's still like higher on my list. It's one of the better ones, I guess.
All right. I thought this movie had, like, the good parts of this movie is he gets the mask. I feel like he comes into his own more as a killer. Like, when he puts that mask on, I think it cements him. Like, this is Jason. This is what we're dealing with. I thought the kill with the harpoon gun was really over the top, but it was cool. It went through the head. Like, that was cool. It was a cool kill. But it's just, like, they are really selling the 3D with that one, because it was just like, coming at you, boy.
So you thought it was better than the mop?
It was that. We're not going to talk about that mop. But it was pretty wild. Jason gets defeated in this movie with axe to the head. I just to kind of be a little bit believable, the axe did go through the hockey mask a little bit, so he had like maybe a little protection. It did go fully into the skull and the brain, but it's he got an axe to the head, whatever. But I think this is where Jason comes in his own, and it sets up for part 4 pretty good. All right, going into part 4 here. Part 4 was released on April 13th, 1984. It is another Friday the 13th release, the second one now. The movie story is now brought to modern day. So, because this movie was filmed in 1984, those 2 and 3 were filmed, in earlier years. We're now brought to modern days to make it have somewhat of a realism, if you will. This movie takes place immediately after part 3. They take Jason to a morgue. He wakes up. Hey, I'm okay. I just have a splitting headache. I'm fine. Come on, that was good, guys. Come on, splitting headache. Come on. I'm working so hard here.
Sorry, I'm muted.
Go get your shine box, okay?
Hey, don't make me get that shine box inside those shoes for you.
Just shine box, eat your beard pizza.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Sorry, we love Goodfellas here. All right. So the budget for this movie was $2.2 million. This movie made $33
Yeah,
million.
buddy.
It had Crispin Glover in it. If you do not know who Crispin Glover is, he is the father to Marty McFly. Good old George McFly. And he definitely
Hey, McFly!
McFly! Hello!
Hey, McFly!
All right, Biff.
Hello,
All right, Biff.
McFly, if you want the women, come on.
Yeah, bro.
Now, Biff,
Such
you
a
coach
good
this
movie.
time. Don't try me. We'll talk about the future with BP and the Fish one day. We sure will. But yeah, Crispin Glover's in it. Very, it's kind of like the origin story for George McFly here. This movie also introduces kind of the Laurie Strode of the Friday the 13th franchise.
They finally
Yes, it
changed the
does.
formula.
Jason finally gets an arch nemesis, played by Corey Feldman. I think
it
Corey
was
like
before.
straight
I
off
could
of
be wrong, but
Goonies, or maybe
they
this
said he was
before
9,
Goonies.
and I'm pretty sure he's much older than Goonies. So, yeah.
Okay, well, this is the movie that like cements this kid as like an 80s whatever. I mean, because you get Lost Boys, Goonies, like this kid, Stand By Me, like this kid. Corey was awesome. Plays Tommy Jarvis. Tommy Jarvis is a kid that is a little awkward than normal jocks, whatever. Tommy likes to make movie masks. He is obsessed with special effects and horror movies and stuff. He's freaking awesome. Like this character is so cool. And he's established as Jason's arch nemesis more so near the end of this film. And I mean, he loses his mom. His mom gets killed. We have no idea where Tommy Jarvis's dad is. We're gonna get that in a moment. But this story was also meant to end the franchise. The movie ends with Jason in the house of the Jarvises, and Tommy gets this idea that he's going to shave his head and he's going to mess with Jason's mind to try to get him to stop attacking his sister and like this rando boyfriend. But he shaves his head just a little bit, and he puts makeup on a little bit, and he yells, "Jason, remember you drowning, remember being a kid," that type of thing, messing with his head, which was established in the second movie that you can mess with his head like this. And Jason gets distracted. He takes his mask off. Jason looks freaking crazy, like all deformed, big eye, bald. And then Tommy takes a machete and he goes nuts and he just starts chopping Jason's head up, yelling, "Die, die, die!" And his sister's yelling, "Tommy, die, die, die!" It's crazy. This movie, I feel. Well, we'll get to what I feel in a second, but I think it had one of the greatest movie posters of all time. Horror movie poster, period. It's simple. It's just Jason's mask with a knife through the eye.
Signifies the end.
I think it looks great, in my opinion. Signifies the end. This is part 4, the final chapter. This is the end of it. Kill count. What do you guys think?
Ooh. got
13. Lucky number 13.
13. Finch.
I'm gonna.
I got a whopping
let's see.
14.
Come back to me.
Yep.
All right. Trey. You say 14. Finch is counting on his fingers.
Fingers,
gonna-
toes.
I'm gonna go 13. Yeah.
I have 13.
Yep.
That's what I have.
Lucky number 13.
Brandon, what do you like about this movie? What do you hate, man?
I actually really like this one. I like that they're bringing in Tommy Jarvis. You know, this franchise needed something that they could keep the franchise going. This movie was great. Tommy Jarvis, he showed how resourceful he was with the whole shaving his head and talking to Jason like, "Hey, you know, remember when you drowned?" And it was good. I really like this one.
Anything you hated?
No, not really. I actually ranked this one pretty high.
My man. Dr. Dre dropped the verse.
No diggity. Yeah, actually, a lot of the things you already mentioned was, you know, I have the intro to Tommy as my number one reason for loving this movie. Crispin Glover's dance.
Yeah, buddy.
Crispin Glover's dance.
Those were the moves
in the movie. His dance. Oh.
Nice.
And then I have other adult reasons. They amped it up a little bit, so you know that always gets a plus for me. And yeah, man, I like this one. I really don't have too many negatives about this one. I like this one.
That's all I think. All right, Papa Research.
Oh, hold on, sorry, real quick. I did have one negative. It was just the sister, like basically falling in love with this hiker guy. That she like.
That was
barely met.
It was the knight in shining. It was the knight in shining armor, man. He fixed the car.
It's a Disney horror movie. Yeah, he was.
Hey, you fixed my
fix
car.
her plumbing too.
I'm on my way.
You come fix
I'm on
my
my way.
car. We'll have a night on the town.
Yes.
You love him a long time.
Fix my tailpipe, I'll fix yours.
We don't discriminate here. We love everybody. All right, Doc Brown.
Hey, that fits. I
That's your
like
new
that.
nickname, Doc Brown.
I like all right. So
Dr.
this film,
Dre, Dr.
for me
Brown.
personally, it goes down as well. You know, we're not doing rankings right now, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. But as you mentioned, Bryan, Brandon's mentioned it, Dre's mentioned it. The formula has changed for the film. Even though this is supposed to be the end, the formula has changed. We finally have a rival to Jason Voorhees. This film is great, in my opinion, for many reasons.
Yes.
Corey Feldman's character as Tommy Jarvis, great, wonderful. It's not known, though, that even though for 9 years old, that he was going through a really rough time during this film. He had some personal issues going on at home. His parents were going through a divorce. Really hard for a 9-year-old actor to, you know, get into character. So through this film, it has been confirmed that he was, you know, being a method actor, and he killed it for a 9-year-old. Great. Yes.
Corey is such an underrated actor, and I'm gonna say it again, you know, tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I would love Corey to come back as Tommy. I really would. Yeah, Corey Feldman, so underrated.
But yeah, I mean,
and
just
go
great
on, Trey,
performance
sorry.
on his part. Again, formula had changed. Another shout out to Tom Savini, you know, because of Tommy Jarvis's character, the special effects, the masks, stuff like that. It was another homage to Tom Savini. But this film is great for a number of reasons because, you know, the kills are fantastic. We finally have a hero in a sense. And it's hard to believe that this film can be considered one of the best for so many issues that happened on set. There was a lot of rumors that the cast didn't get along with the director. There was a lot of issues that, the
Tell us some of
director
these
didn't
issues.
get along with the cast. He was real intense, uptight, never just too serious almost. Corey Feldman has been, quoted to say, I can't remember the director's name. What's the director's name, Bryan?
Director of
Okay,
4
so
was
Corey Feldman
Joseph Zito.
has been quoted to say that he was mistreated by the director, stuff like that. And then Corey Feldman was actually genuinely terrified from this film. There was a scene to where Jason burst through the door. The cameras were rolling, and Corey was kind of like waiting for him to come in, and it was taking so long, and he's just like, "All right, I think we're done." Door bust down, and he was actually pretty shaken up from the scene, through the whole film. But other than that, it's a great film. It's hard to believe that it's so great with all the issues that it had, but overall, I have no complaints. Other than, yes, why are we falling in love for a guy we just met? So, but other than that, great film.
How would you feel if a big, strong man come bursting through
That's a
your
fair
door
point.
and you
That's a
weren't
fair
ready?
point.
I think
But that's a fair point because again, he was expecting it within this amount of time, and it's like, oh, he's not showing up. So okay, I'm just gonna. Nope.
Well, there's 2 more questions to add. One, can that man take a machete wound to the jugular? And 2, is that man me?
No, but that man can fix a tailpipe.
Also,
is your cobalt,
not yet.
Is your cobalt
Not
having
yet.
problems again?
No.
You just really want a man to deal with
not
your
yet.
tailpipe?
Ask me that question tomorrow.
Oh, you boys.
Last thing I had to add was
all right, good.
The whole
Trey,
dream
keep going,
sequences
please.
from the past films. We've had them. It was going to be in this one, but they scrapped it. There is a character that's been killed, or off-screen killed, I should say. It would be Tommy's mother. She's killed off screen, but the original ending, they were going to have a dream sequence with Tommy's mother calling out saying, I'm over here. And then again, Jason pops out of nowhere, gets Tommy and his sister. That's the end of it. But they scrapped it. So I'm glad they scrapped it.
Yeah, but you think you like, I don't know about you guys, but I was wondering, like, is mom dead? It's like, what happened to mom? As I was watching this, I was wondering what the heck happened to her.
Doesn't she find the body in the basement?
No. So that's the thing. Her body's never found.
Bathtub, I think.
If we remember correctly, she is at home, powers off. Jason's pulled the plug on all the electricity. She goes out the back door to look for Gordon, and she's hollering for Gordon. She takes a step off the porch, walks down the path a little bit, and she gasps. And it's cut to black. Next scene. So we can only assume that Jason was there, got her, and that's it. We never see her body. We don't know what happened. It was just that she was killed off screen.
Do you think Jason saw her body?
I swear there's a scene where the sister is like looking for something, and I swear she sees the mom, and she even might say "Ma" or something.
Probably, I don't recall it.
I thought so
but
too.
while Bryan's giving his little spiel on it, I'll see what I can find.
You go and research that. You're our guy in the chair.
Yeah. Like I'm in my notes. I have that they had a scene where the mom was found in the bathtub. Unless I wrote my notes wrong. I don't know.
It might be when Jason's chasing him through the house, and he's about to bust down the door, like when she's looking to find somewhere to hide. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just feel like there is just like a quick little.
I think so too. Actually, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yes. So yeah. So I love this one. I love it. this movie ranked very high for me because I believe personally, it's just my personal opinion. I think what makes slashers work well, is you have to have a final girl or final boy. Like, we have to have a protagonist. We need to have somebody to root for. Because in these slasher movies, if you don't have anybody that you can like or root for, you start rooting for the killer, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of being afraid. Like, you're not going to get scared. You're not nothing. So Tommy having this traumatic experience, and like, we also don't know where Tommy's dad is. So there's comic books and there's novels and novellas of Friday the 13th. Like, I would, now it's not in there. It's not. But what would have been interesting for me if I were to, do a new Friday the 13th series,
You
I would
what?
make Tommy Jason's brother.
Really?
I would make Tommy Jason's brother. Now you're
Are you saying
I know
that
what you're gonna say.
Elias is the
Bryan,
father
you
of
can't go
Tommy
the hell
Jarvis?
on.
Interesting take.
I'm saying that Elias could be the father of Tommy Jarvis. There is no talk in this movie whatsoever who the hell
Yep.
Tommy and his sister's dad is. We just know the dad ain't there.
Crazy Ralph's dead.
Maybe it's Crazy Ralph.
Could be Crazy Ralph, whatever. But it could be
Ain't nobody
very,
hooking up with
Who's
Crazy
gonna
Ralph
see
like
him?
that. Listen, Tommy's mom was
Who knows?
not that old. She didn't look that bad. She didn't look as bad as Crazy Ralph. Okay.
Tommy's mom was good to go. Pam Voorhees, no. No. Maybe Pam Voorhees is that crazy cat lady with the dirty sweater that's covered in piss and soon to be covered in blood.
I was wondering
I've
if
seen
you'd
her
say that. I was
Yeah,
immediately
yeah.
thinking of somebody. I'm glad you said it. Yep.
You know exactly which woman we're talking about. Good God. Oh man. Yeah, that's my Pam Voorhees right there. That woman right there. But well, I mean, maybe we don't need that tie whatsoever, but I think it would be very interesting. Like, we don't know stuff about Jason's dad. We don't know about Tommy's dad. It would be something. It would be something somewhat interesting, um, because then you could call back to that scene where Tommy's saying, "Jason, remember," and maybe Jason's going in his head like, "Hey, you are my brother."
I
don't know.
like it. It's a
I'm
good
just
theory. I mean,
thinking.
it's a
I'm
good
thinking way
concept. Like,
outside
it's a
the
good
box here.
idea. Like, I like it.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it would explain why they get tied together.
Yeah, I think in this case you need something maybe, um, because this movie is very, family based, mother's love based. This franchise, Halloween wasn't like that from the get go. They just changed it because I also I think when you give a killer motives, the more you tell about the killer, the more motives you get. You kind of you hurt the allure of it. What's up, boy? You you hurt the allure of it, and the killer gets less scary. Um, so I love Tommy being introduced here, but for it to be the final movie, for this time, and then you introduce a protagonist so strong,
Mhm.
like of course you're going to make a sequel, and they did, and
Well, yeah, it'd be crazy not
We'll
to.
get
They
to that one
introduced-
here in a little
Crazy
bit.
They
Won't we,
introduced
Bryan?
Tommy way too late.
way too late. I have so
Oh,
much
yeah?
to say. I have so much to say. But this movie, this one's very strong. I feel like Like you can almost not watch any other Friday the 13th movie. In my personal opinion, if you want a full story, and you can just go with the first four and you'd be okay.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, a lot of times I skip the first three.
Right? Yeah, like four is when Jason really comes in his own. The kills are good, the story's good. You actually like the characters, because if you watch this movie and you really don't like the Jarvis family, like I don't know what's wrong with you. Like they're good, clean cut people. They have people, like they have kids having sex in this house next door. And Tommy. Oh, I put this in my notes too. Okay, Tommy's mom is awesome because because Tommy,
yeah,
dude,
closing the old blind.
Tommy
Mom,
is peeking in.
Yeah, I remember that.
That naked chick, and he's seeing the whole thing. He's seeing the whole show.
he's jumping up and down.
Little Finch, like, okay. Something I got to tell you guys. So I'm older than Finch, just a little bit. And when we were in high school, Finch was like, Bryan, you're 18 now. Go to them strip clubs, son.
Right.
Go see them titties, son.
Go see
You
them
owe it
titties.
to yourself. And me, like, I'm a Boy Scout. It's just not me. It's not what I do. But man, Finch was like, Bryan, do it for me. Do it for manhood. And I'm just not. That's just not who I am. And it's never going to be who I am. But when Finch turned 18, he was like, boy, I see some things that I will never forget.
Hey,
But I can't say I blame him, because
Jason
boobs are
disagrees.
pretty cool. So,
Exactly. Cool.
but Jason does disagree.
Jason does disagree.
He does.
Jason doesn't approve of premarital sex, guys.
No, he does not. Maybe Jason is the weapon of the church. Maybe that's what he is all the time.
that's the future. That's the future movie.
Jason's just,
Oh my God!
Jason's
Yes,
just a Mormon.
yes, yes. Oh my God! You best not be having premarital sex. Jason is a weapon. Smoking weed, doing drugs, rock and roll.
He'll have a collar, and instead of a machete, it's a giant cross.
Or yeah, I was drowned in holy water. That's how I'm saved. I was baptized. Oh, whatever. Oh gosh, guys. Okay, so yeah, those first four movies, they're solid. Okay, here we go. Final two movies here. All right, I think that we might have a lot to say about this one. Part 5. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Blew you away, huh?
Wow. It was released March 22nd, 1985, and it shouldn't have been. It takes place 5 years after Part 4. So we are now in 1989. Jason is 43 years old. Well, he would be 43 years old at this time, but he is dead. Well, he is definitely dead.
Oh yeah, he's dead. He's dead now. We're now in zombie Jason territory.
Okay, not yet. No. Okay. Let's no holds barred, boys. Let's get into this. Let's get into it.
Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Let's rip this Band-Aid off.
In this movie.
That's
Jason
incorrect. That's incorrect. He is in this film,
how do you
but
feel
only
about
as a
this
hallucination. Only as a hallucination.
Oh,
No, not nightmare. Hallucination.
Jason's in a nightmare. Oh, boo-hoo.
Listen,
right.
Oh, boo-hoo.
In spirit, he's in this movie.
Listen, we ain't
Jason's
doing.
not even the killer in this movie.
We're not doing hallucinations in this movie. Okay?
Exactly.
Jason is a weapon of the church. We do not hallucinate anymore. We don't do drugs. We don't do sex. We are good boys now. Okay, we're just going to be
Good
nice
boys.
paramedics that are just going to push bodies around.
Where have I heard that
We ain't going to go on
before?
killing sprees.
Oh, wait a minute.
We are good boys. This movie, Brandon.
This movie's pushing boundaries. Not only was there a bunch of sex,
So
but
much.
they also show that they're not afraid to kill a couple of handicapped kids.
No. like. Well, I'll get into what my go ahead. So, keep going, Brandon.
Like right off the bat, they start the movie with a handicapped kid
just want to
taking an
share
axe to the
chocolate.
head.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, and all you wanted
He
to
just
do
want
was
to share his candy
All
bar.
he wanted to do was
You
help.
know what, Vic?
Like,
I don't care for your
he wanted to have a
attitude.
good time.
Yeah.
I don't care for his attitude either. That kid just wanted to share
Those were
some
his last
candy,
words.
and instead, he took an axe to the head.
He was just trying to be a friend.
Yeah, pretty much.
He was just trying to. He was just trying to be nice. He knew Vic had anger issues. He's like, hey man, be my friend. You want a candy bar? And Vic's just like, see.
I don't know. I mean, this one was okay. I mean, it picks up where the last one left off. Obviously, I mean, we see Tommy Jarvis. He's at this crazy halfway house for crazy people, and he just sees a bunch of titties, just a bunch of titties. You got a handful of titties. You got a handful of violence.
That's why he's at Pinehurst.
Them titties make you crazy.
Diagnosis: too many titties.
There you go. That's why he's there. Too many titties.
Maybe that's
Too
why
much
Vic,
violence.
maybe that's why Victor took a candy bar. He's like, boy, you give me some titties.
I'd rather have titties.
Screw your candy bar. Oh my gosh.
For me,
Go, Dre.
some of I do have a couple positives about this movie. One is the brother that gets killed on the shitter. I love that scene.
They were pushing buttons, man.
And then what else?
He knows some
Tommy
martial
kicks some
arts,
ass
yeah.
when he's fighting that dude. He's kind of whooping his ass, like doing the karate and stuff. Yeah, he's kicking some butt. And then
Karate Kid.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that chick, the diner chick that got killed. I thought so. You know,
Your son, man. I can't.
Sorry.
So Dre's son, we're doing this with video a little bit. Listeners, Dre's son is coming up behind.
He's
Dre
doing what Dad's
and
doing.
blowing
Dre's doing
bubbles
the same thing.
with his gum. Like your son's a total badass.
Titties, bubbles, and
Thank you.
violence. Like in my comedy
Amen.
bit, tequila, tomato sauce, and titties, boys.
There you go.
The 3 T's of life. Great minds think alike,
T's
man.
alike.
Yeah, the 3 T's of life.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
hey, the genie from Aladdin always told me great minds think for themselves. You guys are too young to know that, but that was like Saturday morning. The little Robin Williams would be like, "Great minds think alike."
I'm about to
great
remember
minds
that
think
now.
for themselves. It was like a PSA thing. Sorry.
I also
Yep,
remember
yep.
this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
This is brain on drugs.
Any other thoughts on this, Finch?
No, I mean, my only one big complaint I had was that they changed Jarvis. Like, I understand they tried to age him up. They changed the actor, but I wish it would have been Corey Feldman still. So
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I mean, so we have to assume. The other thing that kills me is we have to assume that Feldman was probably about like 12 and 4. So we had 5 years. We're at like 17. But the dude playing Tommy here, like, he seriously looks like he's like 24. I mean, it's like a whole reverse of the Spider-Man video game. But
Hey, that's a touchy subject for us people.
it sure is. We'll talk about that on the BP and the Finch. But yeah. So
going back to the
Trey, break it down, boy.
going back to the Corey Feldman
You
thing.
and I had a lot.
From what I've read is that the reason he was not cast in it was because at the time when this film was being when they were shooting for the film, Goonies was being filmed. So they had
It was good.
Yep.
Okay.
Originally, he was in the script,
He wasn't
but
there
that's
then.
why he's a cameo appearance at the opening scene. Yep.
Goonies never die.
That's right.
Couldn't be in Friday the 13th. Goonies never die.
Goonies never die, boy.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
But
Rocky Road.
You're coming home with me, Sloth. You're gonna live with me now.
Mama, you've been bad.
One time, I brought fake puke at a movie theater. Everybody was puking, and I was like,
but no, you're good.
That's a great movie.
But anyways,
Okay, good.
I
Trey.
think
Sorry,
this film had potential. Like the reason I say it had potential was because initially, we never got to see what the first script was like. It would have been completely different. We would have had Corey Feldman. It would have made much more sense for his age. How he was aging would have made sense for the character. But the reason I think this had potential to be good was because, again, the script changed, and even when it was being produced, the storyline was kept secret. And, going back to David Bowie, they called it Repetition. So no one knew this was a Friday the 13th film. It was titled Repetition. And everyone was like, what the heck is this? So the script was like, on lockdown. But, it's a very upsetting film. Not because the kills aren't good, not because, it's nothing like that. But I mean, like Brandon said, we don't have the iconic Jason Voorhees. That's what is upsetting about this film. It's just a copycat who gets upset that his son has been murdered. And he reads a case file on one of the people at Pinehurst, and it just so happens to be Tommy Jarvis. Oh, this fits. I can be a serial killer from this kid's past. It fits.
Not to mention,
This is correct.
he doesn't even get a good mask.
It's the blue stripe.
It's
Yeah.
not even an iconic hockey mask.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you.
Yep.
That's
It's
how
blue
you
stripe.
know
The face
right
doesn't
away.
even match.
Yep. Like that's how that was the main.
It's the jumpsuit, the mask.
I mean, they make it
the
pretty
way
dang obvious.
The way yes. There's okay.
The
So
way
I mean,
he reacts
when we do see him on screen, finally, slashing people away, you almost get that sense of, he's almost admiring his work. He's not like just on to the next one. He's kind of standing there like, you deserve this. You're the reason my son's dead. So kind of like not a callback, but like for instance, in the first Halloween film, when Michael Myers does his iconic head tilt, that was awesome. But Jason isn't known for admiring his work.
Oh, he does that too in number 6.
But
that's why Michael's the best.
I don't know. Like I said, it could have had potential. But it's not Jason. We don't get a Jason. And then another issue. I don't think in every film we've had before this one, we get the iconic kill, the iconic signature Jason kill, ma, or whatever. Yep. I don't think we get that in this film. I could be wrong, but I don't think we get it. And then the other issue I have with this, the ending, god awful, terrible. I get what they were doing, but it was so bad that for the next film they said, retcon it. It didn't count. We're not making Tommy Jarvis the new Jason Voorhees. We're not doing it. And I'm glad they didn't do it because it would have just been downhill. And obviously the writers, the company, they knew that this film was so bad. They're like, we got to bring him back. We got to figure out how to bring him back. But the ending was just god awful. To even give the idea that Tommy Jarvis, a hero, could be the new Jason Voorhees. I don't see it. And for one, yeah, but I mean,
redemption. He got
here's
his
another issue.
redemption in number
How did he get a
6.
knife and a mask in the hospital? Where did that come from? Where did it come from?
Question.
Plot,
Yep.
some
Since
plot.
you know you're
Some
the
plot
guy,
magic.
Trey. Did Halloween
Ooh.
4 come before this movie? Was it
Really?
filmed? Because it's pretty much the same thing, right? Where Jamie at the very end,
That's right.
she has
That's
the
right.
mask. She kills her stepmom or adopted mother,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
and it's like
Brian's on
basically
it.
trying
Brian's
to
on it. I can see
make
it. I
the
can see it
next
on the screen.
killer the
Yep.
See the reflection in his glasses. Yeah.
Well, here's what I was about to say
like
too.
somebody stole somebody's
because
idea.
I mean, I'm not really like I don't remember the old Halloween films other than the first two that well, but I'm sure you've seen the new Halloween Ends. I'm just gonna go. Okay.
No, don't
Okay.
get started.
No, we're not.
It-
Oh, you gotta
it-
stop. Stop.
Because
That goes
Save
into
that for the
part.
Halloween
Okay.
episode, Trey.
when we do that Halloween special in a couple weeks,
Okay.
I think 2 hours alone are going to go to talk about Halloween Ends.
Just a different can of
Yeah.
worms. But anyways,
So much. It's so much.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, so the things about these franchises is
Yep.
one franchise will do something.
Yep.
The other one will
Okay.
totally copy it. Just be with each other. Dre's totally right. So Friday the 13th, Part 6 came out August 1st, 1986. I'm so sorry. Came out March 22nd, 1985. Okay. Halloween 4 came out October 21st, 1988.
Okay.
So Halloween 4.
But yeah, I mean, and the whole transition.
A little bit.
Imagine watching
Let's
a
do
bad
it.
movie.
We can do it better.
We should do
One
this
company's
again.
looking at it like, we can do that, but we can do it better. I promise you.
Who can do it? I can do it so bad
Pretty much.
that that my worst is better than your worst, boy.
I'm doing so bad that we
Hey, but it kind of worked in Halloween 4, but we'll get into that in another episode.
We will.
It was just bad all around. It really was. But yeah, the ending doesn't make sense. And then I don't know if you boys knew this, but how Jason's iconic was, I'm bad at it, so I'll let you boys do it. Nope.
Do it.
Now
Flush.
the ma part for
There you
Jason,
go.
when Tommy dons the mask and you hear him finally say it, it's not ma. It's an abbreviation of Tommy. It's like like almost Tom. So it's crazy, but basically signifying that he's rolling on as Jason. But yeah, pretty much. It almost makes me think of Timmy from South Park.
That's exactly what I just did. That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
It's
like the meme with the joke going over your head. Right over your head.
Okay. My thoughts on Part 5. Just this movie's just straight trash. It's horrible. There's no Jason. Even though the first one didn't have Jason till like kind of like in a little bit in the end. Part 5 is so gosh darn bad. I mean, I am not the type of guy that likes. I don't like a whole bunch of sex. That's just not who I am. Some dudes like that. They're all about that. But me personally, I'm not all about that. I like more story, I guess you will. But I know the Friday the 13th franchise. That's what it's about. It's about drugs, sex, rock and roll, killing. It's just not me. So this movie focused more on that. It was like a porno just thrown with Friday the 13th on it, and like we'll throw Tommy in there just so we can have a legacy character. It's just it was horrible. Like the motives of a paramedic wanting to kill people over his son. I mean, I it could have worked, but the movie was labeled as a new beginning. Friday the 13th part 5 new beginning. Like, if you're gonna have someone in the hockey mask and you're gonna tease us that Jason's back somehow, like you gotta give us more. I think this movie's so stupid, and I rated it pretty low. I think this was a movie that had the crazy
Yes.
lady with the biker son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like she was. It's just stupid. It's
Hey,
like
Tommy kicks his butt.
Tommy does kick his butt. That's what
Tommy do have hands.
It's just trash. So we're gonna move on. The final movie to talk about this evening, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason lives,
You sure about that?
and we
Are
go
you sure
into
he
whole
lives?
new territory in this franchise.
Okay. You sure about that?
I'm sure about that.
Are you
Jason
sure
sure
about
about
that?
that.
Pretty sure.
Sure about that.
I'm pretty sure.
So this movie is pretty darn interesting.
We're only halfway there. Of course he lives.
Living on a prayer.
Like we got milk it as much as we can, boys.
No, but he said,
No, this movie was
Bryan,
full
I
of
can't
Alice
remember what
Cooper,
Brandon
not
said,
Bon
but
Jovi.
I was late when I finished it, so we're halfway there. That's what he said.
I think this movie established that Tommy used to work on the docks.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm late to the punchline.
That's the first line that
I'm disappointed in myself.
Come on. I suck.
You didn't speak in either. You hush.
Joke over the head.
Oh yeah,
I got it. I got it. But the rhythm just wasn't there to match you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my
Try to let you
apologies.
redeem yourself.
Tommy used to work on the docks. There you go. Oh my gosh. So this movie takes place in 1990, a year after Part 5. So Jason has been dead for 6 years. This movie was released August 1st, 1986. The budget for this movie was $3 million and made $19.5 million. In this movie, the movie starts out with Tommy is obsessed with making sure that Jason is dead. So yeah, Tommy is obsessed with making sure Jason is dead, and Tommy brings his buddy along with him, and accidentally, he digs Jason up like a moron. And
that's what I thought was stupid about this movie.
It's
he has a psychological disorder. I mean, he's got to know.
Obsessed.
He's got to see it through.
Know that he's gone. Exactly.
That's just the irony of this whole movie. Man, I got to make sure he doesn't come back.
I mean, like
we got to go out there and make sure he doesn't come back. Becomes the main reason he comes back.
Well, he spent the whole last movie thinking that he was back. And
being buried is not enough for Tommy. He wants that body burnt to ash.
Like, absolutely. He's got to know. He's got to know. Tell me, baby girl, because he's got to know.
No.
So I mean, when you look into Halloween in 2018, Laurie had to know where Michael was at all times. Like, that was her obsession. And when you're a victim of something traumatic, like you hide in your mind, like, is this over?
But then again, in that movie, she was the cause for his escape.
Bingo.
One cannot live without the other.
Clearly, this plot doesn't work out.
But
yep.
Yin and yang, baby.
Thank you. Exactly, Finch, my man. What in a yin yang? Which one's the part? Which part's white? Which part's black? I don't know, but whatever that is, that's Fitch and I right there, buddy. But Tommy resurrects him because Tommy's a moron. The whole movie is basically no one wants to believe Tommy that Jason's back. Jason's killing people left and right. Jason's Frankenstein's monster, pretty much. He looks great. He's killing people left and right. There's Alex Cooper movie. There's a chick that loves fast cars and thinks Tommy's cool. Way to go, Tommy. Um, and Tommy's plot is basically I want to take Jason back to where he drowned. He takes him back to Crystal Lake. He wants to chain him to the bottom of the ocean. We get a nice final battle in this movie, and then we never see Tommy Jarvis ever again.
Bad mistake.
For now.
Bad mistake.
Big mistake.
Like he was the
Go
saving
ahead, Brandon.
grace.
Get into it, Brandon. Get into it, buddy. Get into
So
it.
he was the saving grace for the franchise. And then they just let him go. They give us that crappy movie in number 5 where he's being traumatized by Jason.
Totally freaking ruined Tommy.
And then
Ruined
they give him that plot point where he's going to be a bad guy. And then in this one, they just throw it all the way. They let him redeem himself, and then throw it all the way. They're like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna have him save all the kids at Camp Crystal Lake, and he's gonna kill Jason. He's gonna take Jason out and have this great big final battle on the lake where they're just surrounded by a ring of fire, and he freaking sacrifices himself and jumps into the lake with Jason, and they drown together. Like, why throw that away? Why not bring him back? Especially if you're going to come back for number 7 and then just change everything like nothing even happened.
Thank you.
It was
we talk about 7 first thing tomorrow, buddy.
7. I'm very heated about 7.
Well, it's the first thing we talk about, so we'll be good on time. But yeah, keep going, buddy. Go for it.
I want to hear what you guys think about.
Is there anything you liked about? Is there anything you liked about it?
Okay, 6. I like
because it seems like 6 pisses you off because of what you get in 7.
Right.
So
6 was good though. I mean, I do like that they redeemed Tommy. I like the whole final battle scene. That was cool. But I do hate that they threw Tommy away like that. And they only gave us 3 movies with Tommy, but then we get all these other movies that just don't make any sense.
Tomorrow's gonna be fun, boy. Tomorrow's gonna be fun.
Yeah, those are the fun movies.
Oh yeah, so much to say. These first 6, you at least get somewhat of an order that makes sense, but then they throw it all out the window after.
Oh, absolutely.
Anything more to say there, Ducks?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, Dre, my very good friend.
Well, for my notes, I have more Tommy, obviously. You mentioned this, but I also have Frankenstein vibes. So you get that. He comes back to life through electricity, through the lightning, and that kind of becomes a theme, or a pattern going forward. It seems like they kind of use that, like Friday the 13th, picks up something, and they're like, let's kind of keep using this. Until they decide to change it, and then they change it again, and then they pick something else up, and they're like, let's keep using that, So,
exactly.
Obviously in the next one, I think he comes back through electricity again, and then in the following one, electricity.
No, it's so much dumber.
Yeah, but, he keeps coming back through electricity. This one, I like this one. Tommy, he was an idiot, but he redeemed himself. The girl that's with him is pretty cool. She's clever. You know what I mean? Like
balances them out. Yeah,
fit with Tommy. Like they work together really well. Yeah. The sheriff though is a complete dick, and he just Like, bro, like this guy who's been through this, you know what I mean? I get it, but you know about Jason, bro. Like, come on, give this guy a little bit of
But
credit.
you have to remember that in this
he
film,
was a nutso.
Camp Crystal Lake no longer exists. They've renamed the county. They've renamed the camp because they want to get away from that history. So that's why, like, when Tommy's, coming in there, like, oh, he's back. Nope.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's like, you can,
Yep.
yeah, he's like, you can rename it whatever you want, but it's gonna be, yeah.
Isn't that the one where they have like the Jason hamburgers, where they're like at the and they're like making
That's-
the cheeseburgers
that's-
that look like Jason's head?
Oh, no,
I thought it was Goes to
I
Hell.
love this.
Yeah,
that's the 8th one, I think. Jason Goes to Hell. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Because
Nice.
I thought it was
the
this
hunter
one.
guy orders it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was this one too. I thought they did it also in this one.
Yeah, but I mean, I like this one. I seen an article that said this is the saving factor for it was like the movie that saved the franchise.
After the 5th one, I
don't know
kind of
about
agree
that,
with that,
but
but then
it's
to
a
Brandon's
good
point, after this one, it's kind of like they're just all over the place. But yep.
Throw it all out.
I mean, but that's it for me.
Do we still have Bryan?
Yeah.
It's your turn, Trey.
Chat for a minute.
At a horror convention, like a Halloween thing, I bought a like a poster that an artist did where it was an iconic Hulk
Mhm.
Hulk comic cover, but it was done as Jason Voorhees and Jason Lives, and it looks freaking awesome. And I don't know where my wife put it.
That was really cool.
I don't know where my wife put it, but I hope it's not ruined somewhere.
You can show it tomorrow.
I don't know. I'll try to. I'm trying to find it because it was on this table right freaking here, but I don't know. My wife's still doing the school, and she moved it probably to do some work, and I don't know. So yeah.
Not yet.
Dre, did you get your points in? Trey, did you get your points in?
No, Trey
Okay,
hasn't said
so this film,
All right, go ahead, Doc Brown.
I like Dre said. A lot of people say it was a redeeming point for the franchise. I kind of agree with it. Obviously, a lot of people, you can just say,
I agree with
5's
you.
retcon. It doesn't count. We're not counting it. Now they took bits and pieces from it because obviously Tommy is still in a mental institution. He just escaped. But Bryan, I'm sure you know this. You're big into the monsters. That's what you're about, man. The director was inspired by Frankenstein. That's why. That's how they brought Jason back. Like Dre's already said it. I mean, they just. Oh yeah.
Say that
This look for me.
One of
This
the
look for
scarier
me.
Jasons.
Yes.
You said this was one of the scarier Jasons.
I think this is like one of the best looks for a Jason in that movie.
He's got
not yet.
like,
Not yet.
bones
You're getting ahead of
showing,
yourself. That's 7.
He's full
This
zombie,
one.
full Frank.
Does he? I don't think he does.
They show it. No, in this one he has.
He might have a little bit, but I think he's got more exposure in the next film. But I like the gloves. I like the utility belt. I think, dude, it's an iconic look.
No, Trey's right. He doesn't show a lot of bones or anything.
Okay.
He does have that utility.
But yeah,
belt,
this
though.
film,
does have a utility
is
belt,
pretty
yes.
good. It could have done better because to Brandon's point, I never thought of it until Brandon's brought it up. Does Tommy really get the satisfaction he was looking for at the beginning of the film? He didn't burn the body, but he's so convinced that if you take him back to where he died originally, he'll be dead forever. So it also makes me think, yeah. But it also makes me think, though, why the lake? Why do you think where he died? Is there something about the lake? It's referenced through all these films except for the 5th one. There's something about the lake itself. There's something about the land itself. That's just my theory about it. Because
Didn't they
There's
hint that
been
there was, like,
theories
an Indian
about it,
burial
but
ground?
like film wise, I don't recall them saying any like burial sites or anything like that. But I mean, it's been theorized. Bryan, did you have something to say? Oh, okay, okay.
No, I was just mimicking Finch there.
Well, okay, so I think what about for Tommy
Yeah,
taking him back to the water? It's like that's where he died the first time. So I would assume, like, I mean, it comes
well,
up in
so
other movies that like somehow water becomes
it's his
a weakness.
fear.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So
well, it's
His-
also kind of like, yeah, but it's also kind of like, to dust we came from, and dust we shall return. So I think Tommy's mind is, what killed him the first time? It was water, it drowned him. So if I take him back to where this all started,
But to that same
that's maybe
extent,
how I can defeat him once and for all.
To interject for a second, I actually lied.
Yep.
I actually like the Jason in number 7 better. That's the more iconic Jason. I was
Okay.
wrong. I got them mixed
Yep.
up.
The zombie
Yeah,
look.
this is the Jason that has like the ribs showing and like his back's all ripped open and
Told you.
yeah, that's the good
No,
Jason.
I don't.
Doesn't
He,
bad
he
Tommy
could,
doesn't
but I
have
don't.
in 7 he
remember.
has a utility belt.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at
No,
yeah.
number
just to
7
clarify,
is
number
New
7
Blood.
is goes to hell, right?
No.
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 That's
7
New
is
Blood.
New Blood.
The one with the psychic chick.
Where he-
Right?
where
Oh
he
yeah,
faces-
remember I messed it up. Yeah,
where he faces Jean Grey.
Yeah. So okay.
Carrie.
So why
Carrie.
the hell does he have this utility belt?
Okay,
And
they're
why
not that
in
bright
the
for
hell
one
did he
in the
decide to
film,
put on those
and
bright
2, the
yellow
utility
gloves?
belt he got from the paintballers, and the
Well-
gloves he got from Tommy's friend at the beginning.
Don't be looking at freaking fan
That's
art.
right.
Look at
No,
actually.
he got the gloves
That's
from
right.
Tommy himself.
Yep.
Because remember, Tommy put him on to try to pull the thing out of him.
That's still a good fan art. I mean, look at this figure. It looks
No,
just
look
like the
at
fan
the
art.
clip from the movie. Not fan art, not action figure, not freaking Todd McFarlane shit. No, look at a picture from the movie.
Okay, here. This is the actual costume from the movie.
Okay, there you go. He got weird looking gloves like Batman did, and when he originally started with the purple gloves.
Bright yellow gloves.
Okay. Jason is
Maybe
here
more
to
little
clean house.
pledge.
All right, he's got the gloves on. He's gonna mop.
Yeah.
He's gonna mop up stuff just to clean.
Mr. Superman on here.
Go to Superman's theater.
No, not here.
But Brian, back to your argument of like
no.
Tommy's
Superman's
thinking of,
not here.
water is where he died. But if you think about it, this film starts to dab in the supernatural. This is also his birthplace. Water is where he died and also was reborn.
Yes.
So
this one was a good Jason movie. Let's put it this way. So when you talk about this franchise, you got to look at it this way. There's the story aspect, and then there's the Jason aspect. This one might not have been a good story movie.
I disagree.
Fantastic.
I think the story was good.
There was some
I
fantastic
think it was,
in this movie.
especially for this time frame where the company was going with it in the future. They finally said, "Listen, the second film of Tommy Jarvis was not good by any means, but this is his third film. We should probably wrap up on this character. Move ahead. Let's see if we can get another likable character." Obviously, we know how that went, but the film, the studios were just like, let's move on. We gotta. Eventually, it's like Halloween all over. We got to go on to something new. But
they went back to the fun stuff. That's what I like about this franchise. This franchise started on trying to make a fun, gory horror movie, and you start to see them start going back to those roots. Like they start getting more creative with Jason's kills and whatnot. Like I said, you gotta split these movies into.
I think this one blends in pretty well.
Or is it a good Jason movie?
But like I said, the reason it blends in well for me is because now you're finally diving into the supernatural aspect of it. This is the first time we see any signs of supernatural abilities, supernatural, rising from the dead, taking shotgun shells to the chest like 3 or 5 times. And, let's face it, before his resurrection, if he was still a mortal human, he'd be down on the ground, probably bleeding out or, pretty hurt. But obviously, now that the supernatural element has played in, it does not stop him. So at this point in these films, the only thing that can stop Jason from this point isn't any mama stuff. I mean, it could, but they never explored it. It's no weapon. It's there's no shotguns, no knives, anything like that. It's all at this point supernatural. So when Tommy takes him to the lake, drowns him, chains him up. Yeah, but
his mom still has an
So I mean,
effect on
yeah,
him.
you could. I mean, like I said,
they
his
never play
mom.
with it,
We
but
never know because they never explored it. They just went back to the lake, and then obviously Seven. When we talk about that tomorrow, there's a lot to talk about too.
we
Mhm.
we see them mention his mom in later movies. I mean, they didn't do it here, but we still know
Now,
that Jason would do anything for his mother,
yep. But
especially
now
Freddy
I'll say
Jason.
this:
She was a
I
big
do
part of it.
wish there was a scene that I wish they would have kept. It was the gravedigger. I can't think of his name. I know he has a name, but there was original. Yeah, there was original script. There was an original script for the gravedigger
Gravedigger Willie,
to
exactly.
meet Elias, and Elias was supposed to be there just just looking over the grave of Jason. And it's been talked about that Elias is pure evil. Like apparently he is pure evil, and apparently the gravedigger was supposed to be killed by Elias, not Jason. So that's one aspect I do wish they would have kept, because we finally would have got that father figure, and who knows what could have happened at that point. So, but
So I almost don't have to talk because Trey just
I'm
takes
sorry, buddy.
everything that was in my mind and my notes, and he's no,
Does it to me too,
like it.
kid.
It's easy for me. I'm just chilling with my boys.
Mhm.
I love this one. I love it, and I rank it very high because
Yeah, buddy.
you get this Frankenstein aspect. I freaking love Frankenstein. It 5 was so bad. So to bring Jason back from the dead and have Tommy be responsible for it, like just wanting to end it all, but being responsible for bringing it back, that adds guilt onto Tommy. Like, this dude is killing people once again, and it is my fault, and I have to end it completely. That did add story for me. That like, because the worst, like with trauma and with dealing with horrible things in your life, like, I'm someone that struggles with depression a good bit, and and things that go in my head
Mhm.
sometimes is, did I cause this? Is it something I did? And most of the time it is, but but in some cases I didn't do anything. But when you're struggling with things that are traumatic and trying to overcome things, you think, did I cause this? And in this case, Tommy did. So so that story aspect, to try to end your trauma and to move on, but then bringing it back, um, as a storytelling man, that's really good to me. And it shows, and in this movie, it shows Tommy having opportunities to be able to move
Yep.
on. Like, he's getting a girlfriend now. He has a chick that likes him. He's almost out of that mental
Mhm.
institution. It's showing how Tommy can overcome this, but in essence, I'm
Yep.
still thinking about the past. You're bringing it back, and uh, Yeah, possibly. Um, so anywho, sorry, I got thrown off there. Um, so just from a story standpoint, I thought this was really good. It has great music in it. You know, it has Alice Cooper just bringing in good songs at the right time. Um, the supernatural aspect, adding that Jason is this unstoppable monster for real. It it added that element before the Halloween movies kind of did too. And I thought this movie was so cool. I thought the imagery was cool of Frankenstein and just this unstoppable monster. And the final battle with Tommy and the fire, it was over the top, but it was like really cool. Like this movie knew what it was. It knew what it was going to be, and I felt it was the perfect direction for where they needed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Jason is now more than
Yep.
a man. Jason is something he's never going to stop, and this evil is never going to end. And no killer that I know that I can think of at that point was made unstoppable until this movie. And so that I mean that made it pretty dang freaking interesting, and it was done pretty well having him be this zombie. So I mean I really love this movie. So but as we know, the the next movie, um, everything changes with Seven, as we'll talk about tomorrow. So I thought that I would wait till the end of part two to kind of do the rankings, and I think I might still do that. Um, but here's what I will say. I'll reveal a little bit. Okay, so before I do the rankings, before I do reveal the full rankings tomorrow, here's what I will say. Okay, so my apologies.
Don't apologize for
I
anything,
have to go
buddy.
into my photo folder here. Okay, so James couldn't join us tonight. I really wanted James to join us. James is a co-host of the Krypton Report with Tyler. Tyler couldn't join us either tonight because he had family obligations. You know, his kids are in the play, so we missed out on those guys, unfortunately. And hopefully they'll join us on the Halloween episode. Because the Halloween episode, Michael Myers is my personal favorite. He's Finch's favorite.
Well, I don't know, man. I'm torn between him and
Is he
Jason.
your
I really
favorite,
am.
TJ?
So.
Hey man, Jason. I mean, that's why we're doing the podcast. Who's your favorite?
Jason's my guy. That's why I had to be here.
Jason's your guy.
That's why I rushed home so I could be part of this because I had to talk about Jason with my buddies.
My man. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for being a part of this.
Glad you made it, man.
James absolutely loves Jason. James, unfortunately, couldn't be a part of this one because he's having some video issues. And unfortunately, I am about 80% deaf. So I need a visual to see when people are talking. So that's why James couldn't be a part of this. And I'm really sorry, James. I wish I wasn't deaf, but I'm sorry. I really want James to be part of this, and Tyler as well. Even though Tyler didn't see all the movies, Tyler, you know, what movies he does see, Tyler knows like everything about movies. So, but it is what it is. Okay. So James ranked going with number one. James ranked part one. Where the heck is it? James rated part one as his number 6 film and the top one. He rated number 6. James rated part 2 as his number 2 film. James ranks part 3 as his number 10 film. He did part 4 as his number 3. He did part 5 as his number 8. and he did part 6 as his number 5. So James thought something was just a little
was
bit
his
better.
part 3?
Part 4 was his number 3. Yeah. Oh, I did say that. Sorry.
See, it blows my mind on that because the
was
things we've talked
number
about with
10.
it finally being the dawning of his iconic mask, that's interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, I really want his opinion on this list. Like I understand his worst, like his worst listed one. I understand his best one, but
It was all over the place, huh?
You guys, when you send these rankings, like some of them were all over the place, and it's mostly in the middle of the list. Like there's a good agreement of like what was the best and what was the worst, but the middle part was tough. Unfortunately, I can't include Tyler's rankings because he didn't see all the movies, so it's not like a real honest ranking. So unfortunately, I can't do that. But it is what it is. So Brandon
really
put the first movie as the worst.
Bold move, Cotton.
He did.
I did.
And which
it pays off.
So here's why though. Here's why.
Here's
why though. Here's why it's the worst for me. Based off my ranking, I had to put all the movies that didn't have Jason.
Fair enough. Yeah.
At the end.
That's fair enough.
I'm sorry.
Extremely fair, my brother.
Fair enough.
That's
extremely fair.
Honestly, now I would probably if I could change it, I probably would put it over part 5.
Yeah, and that would be the wise choice. So you put
it over part 5 if I could change it.
You put part 5 as number 11.
I did.
Second to last. And then he put part 3 was his number 8. Part 2 was his number 7. Part 6 was his number 6. And part 4 was his number 5.
Yep.
So Brandon likes the later movies a little bit better.
I do.
Trey,
those are Jason movies, in my opinion.
Tomorrow is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, I'm excited for tomorrow. I can't wait to give my take on those movies.
I know tomorrow we're going to have so much to say.
Those ones I hold dear to my heart, so I have a lot to say on those.
Yeah, I hope we're drunk enough. We all don't drink too much, but yeah, say one for me, brother. So Trey's list is pretty dang close to mine, because he is a man after my own heart. He is a king. He's my Doc Brown. Trey voted. Trey put the first movie as number 9. Number 9 on his list. He put the second movie as number 5. The third movie he put as 4. The fourth movie he put as numero uno.
I did.
My man.
Put number 4 is number 1.
Well, listen. You have to remember.
Talked about?
This is Tommy
Jarvis. Put that as number 1.
You talked about yours.
Hold on, we can't talk about it yet. I didn't say what my number 1 was.
I do.
I just said after what we talked about, you still picked that one to be number 1.
It's hey, it's one of the best. Hold on. Sorry, I had a brain fart. I'm getting old, guys. Yeah, so number 1 was number 4 for him. Number 5 was the worst for Trey. Number 5. And then number 6, where the heck is it? Number 6, he put his number 3 as his third best.
Do we get Dre's?
Now my list here. I put. Oh no, I'm so sorry. So I messed up because I took I took so Finch didn't just send it to me in a
I gotcha.
in like a list. He just typed a list. So I went.
Sorry, I'm an old man.
No,
I have the list right here if you want me to read it.
I got it, buddy. I took it. I took it and I put it in a letterbox for me, and I just wrote Finch as a note. This app's awesome. Highly recommend this app for ranking stuff because it gives you a visual of what the heck you're talking about. Recommend it, Finch. So, but you're a grown man. You do what you want. So Finch put number 2 as his number as his 12th on the list, is the worst of the worst. Number 2. Finch put number 5 as his number 8, as 8th worst. He put the first movie as his number 7th worst. He puts yes, 2 for number 3. Number 3 he put as his number 3. Number 4 he put as number 2 best. And number 5 he put as his 8th, as number 8. And number 6 he put as 6. So Finch was kind of like, well, that's part 3. I'll put that as 3. That's part 5. I'm just messing with you, buddy. So I'll send you. I'll put all these lists. Well, no, I won't share the whole list yet. But yeah, that's
save that for after the next episode.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so mine. So I put Friday the 13th original one is my number 6. I put Friday the 13th Part 2 as my number 8. I put Friday the 13th Part 3 as my number 5. I ranked that a little bit higher than 2. I put 4, the final chapter, I put as my number 2. Yes, put that as my number 2. And then I put Part 5 as the worst of the worst. That movie's freaking trash. It's garbage. It doesn't have Jason in it. It's just freaking stupid. And the best of the best.
Okay, so me and you flip flop then.
I put
almost.
Number 6 is my number 1.
Look at this guy. Brandon is dogging on us.
See, I put
what? Out of all of them, you put that?
That is fine. I will take that as an acceptable number 1.
Wow.
Because see,
wow.
See, for the final chapter was always my favorite. But then I watched Jason 6 after all these years, and I was just like, okay, this is giving me old school horror vibes because it's going to be Frankenstein. So it's bringing me back to Universal monster type mad scientist thing. I like the guilt of Tommy bringing it back. Jason looked awesome, like just with the skeleton popping out. And, his Mr. Clean gloves, I thought he looked awesome. He does look really good in 7, probably the only good part of 7. But, but I loved it. And I just loved it because you had a solid protagonist in Tommy. It was everything that I personally needed because I like the good and evil. So that ends Part 1 of the Friday the 13th.
Brandon, don't be dogging on me on my number 1 ever again. I can't wait to dog you on your number 1.
Hey.
I'm gonna dog you on your number 1.
Once you find out what my number 1 is, then I'm
I bet your number 1's the same as mine. I bet.
Probably.
I think you probably all can guess who most people plays number 1. But we'll get to it.
Once you find out what my number 1 is.
Oh my gosh. I already know what his number 1 is. I just want to say it, but I can't.
No. Yeah, but my number 1 resurrected.
My number 1 changed the formula. We got our first actual protagonist.
Bro.
Does it stand around?
My number 1's the cream of the crop.
Are we talking about Halloween Resurrection? Oh, okay.
Okay. So we'll talk about the 45th anniversary of Halloween eventually, but I rank Resurrection high. So Tyler and I we went over all the Halloween movies a few years ago and stuff, and we're talking about it, took notes. Like Tyler doesn't like Resurrection. I rank Resurrection higher.
I knew he was gonna say Busta Rhymes.
That's one of my
Busta
favorites. I love LL Cool J.
Hey, that's a classic right there.
I just I don't know. I
Busta Rhymes is the reason I like
seeing black people win. It's just it needs to happen. I want to see
him and LL Cool J. They need to come back for. But we'll get into that.
Hell yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. So
LL Cool J surviving Shark, Busta Rhymes surviving Michael Myers.
Whooped his ass.
Well, LL survived Michael Myers too, right?
Sure.
Or did he die? I can't remember. I got to rewatch it.
And Friday 13 Part 5, we finally have a black guy survive, but maybe it doesn't count because it was a kid. so
and his grandpa. His grandpa dies too.
His brother gets killed on the shitter. So.
That part made me sad. I was like, not grandpa, man.
Damn, his grandpa too.
Black people get no respect in horror movies. So anyway,
has anybody seen the Black movie?
No, I want to review that with you. We're going to do that.
I'll have to watch it first.
So we're almost at the 2.5 hour point. So we went a little half hour over what I thought. Tomorrow we'll probably go over 2, but so this episode will drop at 6 a.m. on Friday the 13th. Part 2 is going to drop on the 13th hour at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
See what you did there.
So that we have everything in by 13th. You can find Greatly Amusing on Facebook, Instagram at Gravely Amusing.
Look at
TikTok. I'm old. I'm trying to figure out these socials. You can find us on TikTok at Gravely Amusing. You can find us on X.
It's Twitter.
But
it's Twitter.
X gonna give it to you.
X gonna give it to you. G-Generation X, whatever. You can email me anytime at gravely.amusing@gmail.com. And you, of course, can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, really anywhere you can listen to a podcast. However you're listening to it right now is cool with me. I'm just happy you're listening to it, guys.
Listen and share.
BP
stay tuned for BP and the Finch. That's going to come pretty soon. The dynamic duo of pop culture. We're going to talk about Spider-Man and Batman villains.
Pop culture.
Absolutely. And with Doc Brown and the Mighty Ducks as part of that as well.
Sure.
So I hope
you and me both, brother.
I hope this episode thrilled you. I hope it horrified you. If nothing else, I hope you were gravely amused. Good night, everybody.